Okay guys, so today we're going to be working with sound. We're just going to fairly quickly add in some like backing music, some sound effects, some music that plays in certain areas, and things like that. Okay, so first things first, keeping organized in your content folder, give yourself a new folder for your sounds, call it sounds, open that up and import. So really important thing before we go any further, any sounds that you're using for Unreal are going to need to be WAV files. All right, so if you've downloaded something, make sure if it's like an MP3 or something like that, you convert it to a WAV file. There's plenty of free sort of file converters online that you can do that with. So I'm just going to import these three sounds that we're going to use. There we go, and you can see the sounds here. You can kind of click them to preview them. Running a bit slow, there we go. So you can preview that's playing and then stop. Right, so just so you know, these sounds are copyright free. A couple of them, these two are from the Machinima Sounds website, and this one is from Sound Bible, all copyright free. Okay, so when we've got sound, we're going to start with this one. It's going to be our background music. What you do with it is you right click it and you create what's called a cue. Okay, and that cue is what we're actually going to be putting into the game. Okay, this is just the stored sound. This is actually telling the game to do something. So if I double click it, you see we've got two little things here. Yeah, we can just see that we've got the song basically outputting to the speaker. Okay, a couple of things you can do. So if you click on the song itself or sound effect, whatever it is, if you want it to be looping, it won't loop by default. So you have to turn looping on, which I'm going to do. In the output, there's a bunch of settings obviously, but the most important one for you really is probably just going to be volume. All right, we're just going to leave it at that for now. We can come back and change that if the volumes aren't right. Okay, so save that because we've changed it to loop. Okay, and to be honest, this is pretty simple because all you need to do is just drag this into the level. Okay, in fact, what I'm going to do for this, because I don't want, this is my menu, this level here, so I'm going to open up my level 1. Okay, so this is our first level, if you remember from the project we've been doing. I'm going to bring in my sound effect. Okay, so when I play, okay, you should be able to hear the sound is playing. Simple as that. All right. So yeah, if you just want a sound that just plays in the level, you literally just make a cue and just drag the object in. Okay. If you scroll over down this right hand side in the settings, you'll see it's quite near the bottom. Yeah, this activation bit. So auto activate is on by default. So basically that means as soon as the level starts playing, that'll activate. All right. So that's the first one. What we're going to do now is we're going to create something a little bit different. We're going to have a sound effect that plays just in a certain area. Okay. So in order to do that, I'm going to have this sort of, it's got this alien ambience. All right. It's going to be playing like when you go into a certain area, this noise is going to play. Okay, so I'm going to right click and create a cue for this noise. So I've got one for that as well. Going to go into here and I also want that looping. Okay, we'll worry about volumes later. Okay, so I just drag that in. Obviously, yeah, that is also going to auto play. So I think if I was to play now, I'll have two sound effects going on at once, which is horrible. Okay, we don't want that. So what I want to do instead is I want an area of effect for this sound. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to turn off auto activate, because I don't want that. And what I'm going to do, we've used these before, we're going to get a trigger box. Okay, going to drag that in, and this trigger box is going to be the area in which this sound is going to play. All right, I'm going to make it a bit bigger. Scale that up so it's an obvious area that I can come and stand in. Okay, right, that'll do. Okay, so I'll stand in this area, and that's when this sound will play. Okay. Right, so now we've got this trigger box. With it selected, you want to come into our blueprints. So just go up to blueprints and open the level blueprint. Okay, and again, you'll have some default stuff there. We don't need it. Get rid of that. Okay. So we're going to right click in here, and because we've got our trigger box selected already, we've got the functions that we need to affect our trigger box. Okay. The first one we're going to do is in collision, and we want add on actor begin overlap. Okay. So when our character begins overlapping this area. Okay. So when he enters the area. All right. And what you want him to do is we want it to be affected by our character. So cast a third person character, okay, because that's who is the thing that's going into the area. And then what we want to happen is we want it to fade in. That's not going to let us do that. So what I'm going to do is select my sound, come into blueprints, which I've minimized. Oh, come on. Where's my sounds gone? Okay, it's not letting me have it back. Come on. Oh, there it is. Right, and then right click, and you see now I've got the functions for the actual sound, okay, because I've got it now selected in the game. And I can just create a reference to it. Okay, so what I then want to do is come from there and fade in. Okay, so a couple of options added in. And then what I can do is hook that up to there. So that is what we want to happen. So it's going to be, when our character enters this trigger area, this sound is going to fade in. Okay. You can put a duration on the fade. So at the moment it's nothing, so it'll instantly start playing. So I'm just going to put like one second on there, so it will take a second just to sort of fade in slightly. Okay. I'm going to compile. Oh, I didn't like that. Oh, sorry. We need that hooked up to there. Okay, save that. Okay, so if I play now, see I've got just my background music playing. Okay, if I walk over to this area, that strange ambient noise starts playing. Okay, but then when I leave the area, it doesn't stop. Okay, so we only want it to be when we're in this area. Okay, so we go back to the blueprints again. So we've made it fade in. Now we just need it to fade out. All right, so with the trigger box selected, which I have, I need a collision, which is end overlap. Okay, so when we leave, and I can just copy these. So I'm going to copy and paste, cast a third person, link those up. I need one of them again, so I can copy that. And this time I want fade out. Okay, so Just reorganize these a bit. Link those up. And the fade out, I want just a second on that as well. And that should be all. So compile, save. So we just repeated the same process, but this time it's fading out when we leave. Okay, so I'm going to play. So I've got background music playing. Walk over to this area. The weird, strange music starts playing. And I walk back away again. It stops. Okay, so that's all we'll do for this bit. So yeah, really easy to just get like a background piece of music in the level, and you can use a trigger box with some basic blueprints just to make an area of the game where you might want some different kind of music to start playing. And that's it really. So I'm going to come back to my menu level, I guess, which so if you just push play, it's got the menu in. And in here I want this other track to play, the adventure begins. So I'm going to create a cue for that. And as you remember, this one's super easy. Just make it looping and just drag it into the level. Okay. So when I just start playing the game, I'll have some sound playing within the menu. Should be able to hear fade in a minute. It's a bit faint, that one. Okay. So we've got some kind of sound in the menu. Push start game. My other sound starts playing. Go into my weird eerie area and leave it. Okay. Cool. So simple as that really. And that's how we can work with sounds. There's one other thing actually. Just quickly. So go back to here. Another level. So just if you wanted a bit of sound to play, like when you pick up an object, come on, open level 1. So if I go back to my blueprints, remember the coins we created that we're collecting? If we open that up, where we've got obviously, you know, when we collect the coin gets destroyed. All we need to do is from here, just type in play sound. We want play sound at location. Alright, so it will destroy it and then play a sound. Okay, and in this case, all you do is select the sound you want from this list. There's some reasonable ones in the starter content, so I'm just going to click explosion 1, just as an example. Compile and save. Okay, so now if I quickly play, if I run over to collect an object, so you get a noise playing, which I chose that explosion. Okay, but you can obviously pick any noise that you want for that. All right, so that's everything.